Good evening. Welcome to this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show. My name is Leon Jones. Let me give you an apology before I move on to the analysis of this video. I apologize for the lighting. I have a 100-watt bulb in that lamp, so it is causing my face to be a little darker than it should be. I'll work on my lighting when I do future videos. I should have gone with a 60-watt bulb. So that being said, this evening's topic, I'm going to review Tyler Perry's movie, Acrimony. So the name of this video is a review of Tyler Perry's Acrimony. The question is it worth the money? From my own personal opinion, it is worth the money. It's a different movie than what many of us are used to seeing, particularly in the black community, because the biggest market when it comes to Tyler Perry movies are black women. This one was a little different. Now, I took notes on this movie and I compared it with a movie I saw 30 years ago called Fatal Attraction. And that starred Glenn Close and Michael Douglas. Now, Michael Douglas was a married man in that movie, and he had an affair with Glenn Close. Now, in that movie, Glenn Close snapped. You saw betrayal, anger, kidnapping, because she kidnapped his kid, took her to the amusement park. She took her child's rabbit and boiled it. But I can understand why she was upset. Because he had somebody to go home to, she didn't. You're talking about a woman scorned. Now, when it comes to Tyler Perry, I saw the same types of issues: anger. I saw schizophrenia, borderline personality disorder, irrational behavior, blaming. I saw a number of the family members, and this is what you got to understand when you deal with any relationship, guys and ladies. When Robert, who was played by the gentleman Tariq, he made an appearance at the funeral, the older sister named Brenda was already bitter, had an attitude. She was questioning him. Now, let me say something. The cast, for the most part, was mostly black. But you didn't see the typical ghetto type of black women that the brothers are talking about on YouTube. I'm talking about the weave, the tattoos, the babies out of wedlock, the gum chewing, the violent. You didn't see that. In fact, all of the black women, although women in general, were slim women. They weren't dark skinned either. They were brown skinned. A couple of them were light skinned. But one thing that a number of them had in common was the attitude. Certainly, you saw married couples, but even the husbands looked weak. Looked like the women were calling the shots. Now, when it came to politics and race, well, Robert, he had this invention, and he told his wife, played by Taraji Henson, that he was going to give her a good life. Now I'm going to skip over a lot of the information because you have to go see the movie for yourself. I'm just going to point out the behaviors and how they apply to the real world. That's why I'm doing my analysis on this movie. Because when it comes to black men, you have a number of them who are sleazy. And in this movie, there was some sleaze early on. Especially when he met the younger Melinda. Melinda got $350,000 and she helped him go to school. And yes, she was there quite a while, going through the growing pains when he was trying to design his invention so they could be rich. Because he did promise her kids, promised her cars, promised her a penthouse. The story takes place in Pittsburgh. So I could understand when she was in a counseling session why she was upset. But what she didn't mention was her meddling family members. And the family members were in her business all through the movie. When she went $13,000 in the hole, he actually went to the Prescott Company with his battery through Diana, and Diana worked for the Prescott Company. She was the lady to whom, when Robert was young, when he was dating the younger Melinda, Robert cheated on Melinda with Diana, and this is why Diana, with her anger issues, rolled up, ran her Jeep right into the side of his home because he lived in a trailer. He was also from a single-parent household. He was also a felon at the age of 15. So stereotypical black man, being a thug, with a record. That's what a number of us are used to seeing in the black community. Not so fast. Brenda, who was the sister, the older sister, and the younger sister, all through the movie, they were putting pressure on him. In fact, I remember the movie in front of the family. His wife called him a loser, said he was no good. Again, his wife, played by Taraji Henson, worked a lot of jobs. But here's the big problem. When it came time for the money regarding his battery, his cell battery, this is how black people think. Okay, they're not used to having anything. So she was $13,000 in a hole after she had put him through school, gave him lots of money for his invention, bought him a car to help him out. Well, Prescott Company wanted to pay him $800,000 for his prototype. He said no. The family said, well, why didn't you take the money? Because he didn't think that offer was a good offer. Smart man. So this is when he really had to go through the growing pains, because another aspect is she listened to her sisters because they had a family business, and the girl Diana, who worked at the Prescott Company, left her wallet in the truck. She thought he was cheating on her, which he wasn't. So they end up getting a divorce. And when the dust cleared, guess who was at the divorce hearing? Her family. The lawyer, who was a black woman, said, sign the papers and the deal is done. Now that the divorce is final, Robert is kicked out of his house. He's washing dishes and he's living in a shelter. He encounters Diana, and here's where Robert goes from rags to riches. He said his life was going down. Diana gave him the papers. He opened up that folder with the papers in it. There was a check for $75 million. Now, prior to that, Taraji Henson had insurance money up $350,000. They were in a hole $13,000. Also, their mom's house was foreclosed. Once he got the $75 million from Prescott for his battery, he went to his ex-wife's job, paid her $10 million, and got the house back that was foreclosed. That was her mom's house. Do you think she was happy? No, because the divorce was already final. She tried to sue him for more money. The judge, and here's where a number of women probably thought, oh, it's another sleazy black man. No, he wasn't sleazy. He was a good black man, because the judge even told her that he got this money after the divorce. He didn't have to give you any money at all. But not being satisfied with what he gave her, she thought, and here's where the entitlement issues came, that she was entitled to half. Well, had she stayed married, instead of dealing with her meddling family, she may have gotten half. But she chose not to be patient. So he went on and married Diana. And it's funny how money changes things, because as soon as she got the $10 million, Robert was already divorced. She blamed her sisters for the divorce. But yet she listened to her sisters, and I'm talking about Taraji Henson. Hypocrisy right there. Also, when it came to the counseling session, the counselor said, don't you think we might be able to take this issue from another angle? No, she didn't want to do that. Why? She was in denial. And when you're in denial, what do? This is what's wrong with some black women and non-black women. When they know they're wrong, they don't admit they're wrong. They blame everybody else for their misfortune. The bottom line, the character played by Taraji Henson, she allowed her family to dictate every move. But guess what? It could have worked out for her, but it didn't. It worked out for Diana. And what's ironic about that is Diana was the one Robert cheated on, Melinda, who was played by Taraji Henson, but the younger Melinda earlier in the movie. So all of the promises that were made to Melinda, Diana got. Why? Because Diana supported him. Diana was the contact to Prescott for him getting the money for his invention. Now, after all that, what did you see from Taraji Henson? You saw stalking. You saw rage. You saw irrational behavior when she went in and set the wedding dress on fire. You saw her come onto a boat, shoot her ex-husband. because she was the one who wanted the divorce through her sisters. Now, let me tell you something. Although that was a movie, this happens a lot, particularly with a number of women and, of course, men. But in the black community, when it comes to building something, and I'm going to say this, a number of black women don't want to be around when a man is struggling. They're not good at supporting the man. In fact, they're going to kick the man because they want to come to the table with it already set. And they don't understand, to get to the next level, there has to be some blood, sweat, and tears. Well, they're not willing to go through the blood, sweat, and tears because they believe that they don't have to. You see, in the white culture, they'll go through the blood, sweat, and tears. This is why, with the white culture, they're able to pass down businesses and resources. Now, I know in the black community, we don't have the resources like that. But my point that I'm getting to is, when you see these women who are scorned, who are angry, you have to ask, where did that come from? Well, that came from her upbringing. Because even before she met Robert, she was already angry. Her sisters, even when they were young, they were nosy. And what's ironic about all these women, they were all married. All had pretty decent jobs. In fact, the family had a family business. But guess what was common? The bitter attitude, the entitlement, the narcissism, the anger, rage, the sociopathic behavior. Because the person who made the decision to get divorced was influenced by her family members. But her family members remained married. And it's funny, with the hypocrisy, when the money came, she was now blaming her sisters for her divorce. That happens quite frequently. Now, I want to say something. This was not one of Tyler Perry's movies that favored black women, making a black man look bad. It wasn't. Now, there is an issue that did get me, and the same issue twice. When the judge gave her the restraining order, not to go 300 feet within him and his new wife. Did she obey that order? Hell no. And this is what you see with some of these sisters out acting fool when they run into cops. They want to challenge that authority. She was upset because she didn't get her way. Because she thought that everything she did in that relationship, it was owed to her. Listen, it's not how much you do, it's what you do. And she could have gotten a little more if it weren't for her listening to her meddling sisters. Again, one of my rules of dating is look at the type of background that the person you're going to get involved with has. Now, Acrimony, again, was worth the money. And for you guys like myself who are red pill, Tyler Perry may not make another movie like that again, but that was one for the ages. because it didn't feature everything that went the way of the woman. And some women are probably upset about that. Shout out to Brother Guy King, because he's the one that actually told me about it. Shout out to a chocolate sister that I know. She told me about it as well. She saw it a day before I saw it. And shout out to Brother Matt Coley. He also saw it. So I had to go see it because I wanted to know what everybody was talking about. Because, like I said, I am not a big Tyler Perry fan. I've seen enough of his movies. In fact, I have one of his shirts on now, Medea's Family Reunion. But that being said, the movie was worth the money. I'm giving you some excerpts, but you have to see it for yourself and make your own decisions. Now, at the end, I'm not even going to tell you what happened at the end. Like I said, I wanted to go over some of the behaviors that I saw. Now, there are some things that I could have done a little bit better, but I'm just giving you an insight on the issues that take place within the black community that are true. And again, what's ironic, the black women in this movie were not your stereotypical black women. But they did have the attitudes, the anger, the entitlement, the control issues. Because here's one area that people didn't see. The guy who was light-skinned, his name was Devin in the movie. Well, who hooked the ex-wife up with Devin? Her sister Brenda. Now, she went to his house. They had sex, and what did he do? He fell asleep. And the funny thing about this issue is, when she got the money, she even told Devin, "You're lousy in bed. You have a small penis." A shaming tactic. Now, you know why that occurred? Because deep down inside, she was the one guilt-ridden. And generally, when people have guilt to make themselves feel good, they want to put other people down by insulting them. And that's generally what happens in the black community. If we don't do something that a number or percentage of sisters want, we're called gay. We're told we have a small penis. We're losers. All these shaming tactics. But see, when you're on that red pill, the shaming tactics don't bother you. Why? Because you actually see the light. And this movie, Acrimony, was a movie for people who are red pill. And the red pill movement is growing. You have Ibmore, SYSBM, and MGTOW. And what I liked about this movie, it didn't make the black man look like he was the bad guy for most of the movie. At the beginning of the movie, absolutely. But it made the brother come out on top. And he came out on top because he had connections. Because anything you do and you believe in yourself, you still have to get people to help you. You still have to know people. You still have to keep your strength. I mean, the family was beating this brother down. But this is what happens. Look at some of the brothers here on YouTube with this so-called gender war. Because when you have a war, you're going to have casualties. But you have a number of brothers still standing. In fact, the movement has gotten bigger. So I want my audience, go out, take a look at the movie for yourself. Because it's a movie that is drama-filled. But it also teaches you about life. It teaches you how the divorce system works. It also teaches you how some women get away with stalking after being told they must stay away from the person that they're stalking, and they don't follow it. They still go and do what they want to do, because in their minds, nothing's going to happen to them. And see, when you have an erratic behavior / being sociopathic, you don't think about the consequences because of that rage. And I've always said, emotions cloud critical thinking. The character played by Taraji Henson should give a number of people examples on what you need to do as a wife, even if you do the right thing. Don't always listen to your meddling family members, because a number of them are better themselves. And if you look at that family where she came from, there were no men, no brothers in that family. And again, the husbands look weak. Yes, she did everything she was supposed to do. Melinda, played by Taraji Henson. But that one thing she didn't do is really have faith in her husband. Because she, all along, because of her sisters, thought that the husband was a bad man. And sometimes you as a woman and a man, you have to sit back and look at the situation before you make a judgment. Because the divorce right there told me that the judgment was rushed. Didn't have to go down like that, but it did. Why? Because of her sisters. And something else you saw in that movie. You saw revenge. Well, what is she getting revenge on? The person she should have gotten the revenge on was her own sister, not the ex-husband. Because the ex-husband, again, gave her $10 million. Gave her basically back all the money times 12 to last her for the rest of her life. But she wasn't happy. Had the mama's house back. But again, when you have this attitude of entitlement, when you feel somebody's taking your place, you're not going to think about what you do to other people that are now in the person you had's life. Because you still think that that person owes you. The person doesn't owe you anything. And you got to remember that. So the answer to this question again, Was this movie worth the money? Yes, it was worth the money. And what I want to tell you all, before you even get into a relationship with somebody, check out who your prospective mate associates themselves with. Because if they associate with dysfunction, believe it, you're going to marry somebody who is dysfunctional. And when that happens, your relationship will always be toxic, and it will end with disastrous results. If you don't believe me, you look around you. Go look at the movie Acrimony for yourself, and you'll find out what I'm talking about. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 401 Talk Zone radio show for this evening, Tuesday, April 25th, 2018. You can tune into the 401 Talk Zone radio show every Saturday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Blog Talk Radio. Guest calling number is 215-383-5785. If you like my videos, please share and subscribe to the 401 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube so I can continue to give you quality information for educational purposes from a professional and mature perspective. Now, on this channel, I don't engage in debates, controversy, or social issues, nor do I participate in drama and or unnecessary bickering. Why? Because what I'm here to do is make you aware of what's going on. My channel is an educational and awareness channel. And what I do is give you information that's positive but realistic. Because if you don't understand the real world, you will fail. And again, go see the movie Acrimony for yourself. It is worth the money. And when you have knowledge, you have power. If you have a topic, a new YouTube channel or business that you would like for me to discuss on YouTube or Blog Talk Radio, please email me at lej6521@gmail.com. And if you have a comment, please leave your comments in the comment section under the video. But make sure that your comments are pithy. No bloviating, pettifogging, or filibustering if you wish to opine. Now that's it for this video. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. Remember, please be gentle and respectful to each other and have a wonderful and blessed night. God bless you.